Taya versus Crump. Would you let a penguin take over your body? Well, that's the stakes of this duel. Spoilers, this is Taya Gardner's final duel in the series, and with her victory, with a little help from a sentient dark magician girl, she ends the series undefeated. But the question then becomes, was this legacy deserved? Was she a perfect duelist? Or by chance, did she just stumble her way upwards to victory despite a lot of misplays? I think it's worth looking into, and at the same time, let's see if Crump could have won this duel. Without further ado, let's jump into the duel. Before the duel begins, both players select their deckmasters. Crump chooses himself, the Nightmare Penguin. Its deckmaster ability is all face-up water monsters he controls gain 200 attack. Taya chooses the Dark Magician Girl as her deckmaster. Its deckmaster ability is once per duel during Taya's draw phase. Instead of conducting a normal draw, she can instead reveal the top cards of her deck equal to the number of monsters she has in her grave and add one of those cards to her hand. This ability is almost like a mini Destiny draw for Taya, and it's really good. And that's not the only thing that's awesome about the Dark Magician Girl. It is also the sponsor for today's video. America have just released their brand new 18 karat gold first edition, limited edition Dark Magician Girl pendant. The perfect piece of jewelry to add to your Yu-Gi-Oh collection. If you're interested in getting one of these, if you use my discount code TGS during checkout, you will get 20% off your order. And not only that, but to mirror what happens at the end of today's episode, anyone who uses my link has the chance to win one of 10 first edition, limited edition Dark Magician pendants that you can't get anywhere else. Basically, if 20 people ordered one of these, half of them are guaranteed to get a Dark Magician for free. Use the link in the description or down in the pinned comments alongside my discount code to get your hands on the first edition, limited edition Dark Magician Girl pendant. Thanks, America. Now, let's get back to the video. The duel begins and Taya goes first. She draws, and her opening hand consists of Ancient Elf, Petite Angel, Skell Angel, Offerings to the Doomed, Pot of Greed, and Mirror Force. Taya sets Mirror Force face down and then summons Ancient Elf into attack. She ends her turn. Why didn't Taya activate Pot of Greed? I have absolutely no idea. Maybe she just doesn't know its effect. However, the question you should be really asking is, will she ever activate this Pot of Greed? And the answer to that question is no. In fact, she is going to throw it away later in the duel. Imagine that, having Pot of Greed and just thinking, nah. Side note, I actually think set Skell Angel pass was the better first turn play. Like, you either got to draw a card if it's attacked into, and then even if it's not attacked into, you can flip summon it and draw a card as well. I think it would have been better, but it's not a big deal. It's Crump's turn, and he draws. His opening hand consists of Giant Red Sea Snake, Cold Wave, Penguin Sword, Defender Iceberg, Penguin Torpedo, and Driving Snow. Crump starts by summoning his Giant Red Sea Snake to the field. Fearing Taya's set card, he activates Cold Wave. Thanks to this, now until Crump's next turn, neither player can activate or set any spells or traps. Now, immediately right here, we have a little bit of shenanigans. Technically, this card states, this card must be used at the very start of your main phase 1. So, Crump's summoning his Giant Red Sea Snake and then using this card, you're not allowed to do that. However, the only reason I'm not so mad about this is because had he just done this in the reverse order, things would have been absolutely fine. In fact, that would have been the safer way to do it at the end of the day. And again, I wouldn't be mad at that, except for the fact that the animators decided to physically show us the Yugioh card in all its glory, with its effect on display, albeit in Japanese, but when you translate it, it does specifically state, make sure you activate this card at the start of your main phase 1. So when you put it right in my face like that, I realize this really is a bad thing to do. So yeah, shenanigans. Should have done the other way around. Crump enters his battle phase and uses Giant Red Sea Snake to attack and destroy Ancient Elf. Due to Cold Wave, Taya is unable to activate Mirror Force. Taya takes the first damage of the duel. At this point, it's revealed whenever a duelist takes damage, they will slowly be encased in ice. Crump ends his turn. It's Taya's turn, and she draws Fire Sorcerer. Due to Cold Wave, Taya is still unable to activate or set any spells or traps. Instead, Taya does something Yu-Gi-Oh characters always seem to refuse to do. She sets her Fire Princess monster in face-down defense. Taya ends her turn. Now, I'll be honest, the only reason she set this monster face down is because it's a flip monster. There's a beneficial reason for her to set the monster face down, which, let's be honest, flip monsters that characters use, they do set those face down. They're very rare in the series, though, which is kind of unique here. The only reason I can think of the out-of-universe reason for why they keep monsters face up, even if there's someone in defense, is probably just most likely so they can show off their monsters, or else everything will be set face down, and you see it for a split second when it's attacked, most of the time anyway, so that's probably the out-of-anime reason anyway. It's Crump's turn, and he draws Gust. The lingering effect of Cold Wave ends here. Crump, however, still afraid of Taya's face down, sets his Driving Snow and Gust face down. He then ends his turn without attacking. Fun fact, these two cards set face down, well, they're interesting things to set together. Why? Well, they have the exact same effect, albeit one destroys a spell or trap if a spell card is destroyed, while the other destroys a spell or trap if a trap card is destroyed. With this in mind, Gust is currently unusable. There's no spell cards on the field to be destroyed to trigger its effect or anything like that, so all the hope is relying on Gust being destroyed by a card and Driving Snow remaining face up on the field. Crump could have set one of his other spells on the field to increase the 50-50 odds, but what are the chances that he'll fail this 50-50? Let's find out, shall we? It's Taya's turn, and she draws Mystical Space Typhoon. She activates it to destroy one of Crump's set cards. With a 50-50 chance of hitting Gust and triggering Driving Snow's effect, she of course hits it and destroys Gust. Now, since a trap was destroyed, Driving Snow activates. Crump can choose one spell or trap on the field to destroy. He destroys Taya's set Mirror Force. Interestingly for this scenario, there is actually an old Yu-Gi-Oh adage, which is, don't blind MST. This is said because it's better to save it and react rather than to blindly use it and whiff. Just like in this situation here, because had Taya saved this card, well, nothing would have happened. So yeah, you never really know when MST is going to come in handy. Better to save it, but just in case. Taya moves to the offensive. She activates Offerings to the Doomed, which lets her destroy one face-up monster on the field at the cost of losing her next draw phase. She destroys Giant Red Sea Snake. Next, Taya flip summons her Fire Sorcerer. Its flip effect activates. It deals 800 effect damage to the opponent by banishing 2 cards in Taya's hand. Crump takes 800 burn. Wait, what? You're gonna banish 2 cards in your hand to deal 800 damage to the opponent? If you're pushing for game, makes sense to me. Yeah, go for it, why not? But so early in the duel, losing 2 cards seems much more like a punishment. Look at it this way, basically. If I could pay 800 life points to have my opponent lose 2 cards in their hand, you bet I'd do that. For me personally, card advantage is more important than doing a little tiny bit of damage so early in the duel, because as we're about to see, Taya's got rid of her next draw phase, she's only got 1 card in her hand at the moment, so why would you put yourself in that kind of situation? She probably shouldn't have. And she got rid of Pocket Pot Greed for it. Taya enters her battle phase and uses Fire Sorcerer to attack Crump directly. Taya ends her turn. It's Crump's turn, and he draws Flying Penguin. He summons it to the field. He then equips it with his Penguin Sword equip spell. This card increases a penguin monster's attack by 800. Flying Penguin attacks and destroys Fire Sorcerer. Crump ends his turn. It's Taya's turn. Due to Offerings of the Doom, her draw phase is skipped. With only 1 card in her hand, her only option is to set Skull Angel face down and end her turn. It's Crump's turn, and he draws Bolt Penguin. Now, despite having Penguin Torpedo and Bolt Penguin in his hand, Crump instead moves straight into his battle phase. He attacks and destroys Taya's set Skull Angel. The flip effect of Skull Angel activates, allowing Taya to draw a card. She draws Magic Formula. Crump ends his turn. And here is where Crump could have won the duel. Had Crump summoned Bolt Penguin and then special summoned himself to the field, since, let me remind you, this is a deck master duel, which means you can special summon your deck master at any point during the duel, maybe he should have done that. Since Crump could have destroyed Skelangel with Flying Penguin and then attacked for game with Bolt Penguin and Nightmare Penguin for game. Saying all that, I'm not going to give Crump a misplay though, because Taya had a set card face down. It's risky business. If your deck master is destroyed, you automatically lose the duel. It's a risky thing. What if that face down card was Cyberjar? Probably not worth going for, so no misplay for Crump here. However, he could have set himself up for victory for the next turn. All he had to do was summon that Bolt Penguin to the field, destroyed Skelangel with Bolt Penguin, and then attack with Flying Penguin. Taya would have been down to a mere 50 life points, which meant on Crump's next turn, he can summon that Torpedo Penguin, it can attack Taya directly. GG. Yeah, I'm gonna call that a misplay to Crump. Should have been a bit more aggressive with these plays, and it's cost you. It's Taya's turn, and she draws Mahavilo. She summons it to the field, and then equips it with the equip spell Magic Formula. This card can only be equipped to a spellcaster type monster in the anime. While it is equipped, the monster gains 500 attack. But not only that, thanks to Mahavilo's effect, it also gains an extra 500 attack for every card equipped to it. Now, with a 2,550 attack Mahavilo, it attacks and destroys Flying Penguin. Taya ends her turn. And here we are again! Yet again, it's a deck master duel, guys. You've got deck masters. Summon them to the field! Had Taya summoned the Dark Magician Girl to the field alongside Mahavilo, she could have attacked directly with the Dark Magician Girl, and that would have been enough damage to go for game. And this time, unlike Crump, there's nothing set face down that we could be wary of, so this is straight up, Taya, you could have won the duel here. Misplay for you. It's Crump's turn, and he draws Revenge Sacrifice. He summons Bolt Penguin into defense. He then sets his Revenge Sacrifice face down and ends his turn. It's Taya's turn, and she draws Graceful Charity. Remember how Taya had Pot of Greed earlier in the duel and she never used it? Well, guess what? She's going to do the exact same thing with Graceful Charity. Imagine two of the most powerful draw cards in the game that are banned in the real world, and you're just like, nah, I'd rather not. Fun fact though, had she used that Graceful Charity, then the top 3 cards of her deck she would have drawn are Michizur, Gemini Elf, and Polymerization. She could have either used Michizur to destroy any monster that outpowers Mahavilo, or taken Gemini Elf and summoned it. Used it to destroy Bolt Penguin, and then used Mahavilo to destroy the 2,450 defense monster Crump is about to summon out, which would have put her in a really strong position. Moral of the story, if you have draw cards in your hand, use them. Anyway, Mahavilo attacks and destroys Bolt Penguin. Since a monster Crump controls was destroyed by battle, he is able to activate his set Revenge Sacrifice trap. He can now tribute the opponent's monster that attacked in order to special summon one monster from his hand. He tributes Mahavilo to summon Defender Iceberg into defense. Thanks to its effect, while it's on the field, other water monsters Crump controls cannot be targeted for attacks. Taya ends her turn. It's Crump's turn, and he draws Ocean of Regeneration. He sets it face down. Fun fact about Ocean of Regeneration, by the way, it's a real card now. In the real world, it's just come out at the time of this video. That's pretty cool. Crump summons his Penguin Torpedo into attack. He enters his battle phase and uses its effect to attack directly. After the battle, due to Penguin Torpedo's effect, since it attacked directly with its effect, it destroys itself. Crump ends his turn. It's Taya's turn, and she draws Michizur. Now, I haven't brought this up just yet, but the Dark Magician Girl is sentient in this duel. Fearing Taya's safety, it decides to summon itself to the field to keep her safe. Unfortunately, she is too weak to attack over Defender Iceberg. However, she's strong enough that if Crump summons any decently strong monsters, they won't be able to attack over it. Unfortunately, with no other options, Taya ends her turn. And now that I think about it, I've just realized she didn't set the Yugioh face down, but I guess she didn't need to, because if Dark Magician Girl is destroyed, that's the end of the duel anyway. So yeah. Also, I say no further options. She still could have used Graceful Charity, but saying that, the card she would have drawn with Graceful Charity, nothing would have helped her. It would have been Polymerization, Gemini Elf, or Happy Lover. Nothing would have helped, so it don't matter. But I will say, had she used Pot of Greed all the way back at the start of the duel, then I'm pretty sure one of the cards she would have got for Graceful Charity, had she used it this turn, would have been her Sage's Stone, which meant she could have won during this turn. Another misplay here. It's Crump's turn, and the penultimate turn of the duel. He draws and gets a mysterious card. I assume this mysterious card was some form of penguin card. What's the reason why he's not going to summon it this turn? Well, it's because of the card he's about to use. Crump activates his set Ocean of Regeneration. This lets him special summon an aqua monster in his grave with 1000 or less attack. However, if he does this, he cannot summon or set a monster that turn. Crump brings back his Penguin Torpedo. He uses its effect to attack Taya directly. The attack is successful. Penguin Torpedo yet again destroys itself. With exactly 750 life points left, Crump's plan is on his next turn to use Ocean of Regeneration again, bring back that Penguin Torpedo, and attack directly for game. The pressure is on for Taya. And so, it's Taya's turn, and the final turn of the duel. Realizing she needs to top deck a powerful card to keep her in the duel, the Dark Magician Girl reveals and activates her Deckmaster ability. Now, instead of drawing like normal, Taya instead reveals cards from the top of her deck for each monster in her grave. She can then add one of those cards to her hand. Since there are 4 monsters in her grave, she reveals 4 cards. The cards revealed are Polymerization, Gemini Elf, Happy Lover, and Sage's Stone. Since Sage's Stone is a card that she consciously made an effort to put into her deck at the start of the duel, she takes it. Now, this is where things get wild. Taya activates Sage's Stone. Now, thanks to this card's effect, if the Dark Magician Girl is on the field, it lets her summon a Dark Magician to the field. However, it's been made a point of throughout this entire duel that Crump says, "You didn't put the Dark Magician in your deck, you're a bad duelist." That's the thing, right? So she activates Sage's Stone, and it appears as if the Dark Magician is summoned from Yugi's deck to her side of the field, which of course is absolute shenanigans. You can't summon a monster from somebody else's deck. But guess what? That's not what happens. Dark Magician being summoned from Yugi's deck is merely symbolical. You see, when you translate the text on the Japanese anime card, you actually see this is all a completely legal play. Sage's Stone's effect translated states you can only activate this card when there is a Dark Magician Girl on the field. Place this spell card in a monster zone and treat it as the Dark Magician until the end of the turn. So this play is basically like summoning a Dark Magician token to your side of the field. Meaning the actual Dark Magician doesn't need to be in your deck at all. And that whole Dark Magician flying over from Yugi's deck into Taya's is just symbolical. The spirit of the Dark Magician is entering Taya's field. The spirit, not the actual physical card. So for me personally, no shenanigans here. Now, with both Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl on the field, Dark Magician attacks and destroys Defender Iceberg. Dark Magician Girl then attacks Crump directly, reducing his life points down to 0. This is shown in the anime as both monsters attacking simultaneously together, but that's how it actually plays out. Taya and the Dark Magician Girl win the duel. So technically, yes, Crump could have won this duel, and at the same time, Taya also could have won the duel a lot earlier. I've come to the conclusion now that Taya, she's not a great duelist. I think she got out of the game before she was truly tested by a decent duelist. I mean, she's not that bad, but not using Pot of Greed or Graceful Charity, it's just huge misplays, isn't it? And with that, that's another duel analysis done. Want to watch a video of me talking about the Dark Magician Girls? Well, I have a video all about that. Or if you'd rather watch this one, you're more than welcome. Thanks again to Nan America for sponsoring today's video, but other than that, thank you all for watching. Catch you later.